Good afternoon. Welcome to our January webinar on common entrepreneur pitfalls. Please raise your hand and let me know if you cannot see my screen. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And if you have any issues with the video or audio, just raise your hand and I will definitely investigate. Happy New Year to everyone that's joining the call. I appreciate you joining with me today. And we're going to talk about some of the common pitfalls that entrepreneurs encounter. Oftentimes, we start a new business, or we could have been in business for a while, and we are just unaware of some of the things that those that came before us have already encountered. So I decided to do today's session to discuss things that many business owners have encountered that you could very well encounter as a small business owner, and hopefully help you avoid these things. I'll go ahead and let you know that this is not a comprehensive list. There are all types of things that you can experience as a small business owner that, quite honestly, can disrupt your business or throw you for a loop. But do not be discouraged. Having a small business is one of the things that is so core to America and our values. And if you have a small business or you're looking to start a small business, I salute you. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Melissa B. Kennebrew. My company was started in 2009, so I'm celebrating 12 years this year. And I provide a variety of services. They include tax preparation, tax advisory, payroll processing, management consulting, organizational design and setup, bookkeeping, both for historical catch-up projects as well as ongoing bookkeeping services, retail website setups, and special projects. So pretty much whatever the need from a back office perspective, MBK has you covered. The industries we serve include technology, logistics, consulting, manufacturing, landscaping, and other home services, personal services such as estheticians, financial services, and the nonprofit industry. I continue to keep myself up to date on changes in the tax code, changes in, accounting guidelines as it relates to small businesses. And I also have a master's and bachelor's degree. If your service needs are outside of this arena or any of the industries that I've listed here, don't fret. We are always expanding our services and our markets we serve. One of the first things that I experience with small business owners is they select the wrong entity type for their organization, or none at all. Can you imagine? So there are different entity types that exist. I've listed a few here: a sole proprietorship, an LLC, which is very common, and an S Corp. And one thing I want to make everyone aware of, LLC, a limited liability company, is probably the most common organization type for small and medium businesses. But I do want to point out that while an LLC will shield you from some of the liability of the organization, it doesn't separate the entity from yourself from a tax perspective. I'll share with you guys a story. I have a client who unfortunately lost his wife last month unexpectedly, and she had her own business and she was a sole proprietor, and he is now having to unwind a lot of the things associated with her business because she was essentially the only responsible party for her organization. Now, while that may seem a bit daunting because many of us are the sole responsibility for our organization, there are ways that we can structure your organization to ensure that your entity will live on in the event that something happens to you. This is an unfortunate reality that we all just kind of have to prepare for. And for example, for my specific client, we are going to establish a company in his wife's name so the organization can live on. But as you can imagine, we are now having to do a lot of things historically and retroactively, which is very different than having that structure in place up front. So that's just something to keep in mind as you either continue your business or if you're looking to start a business, that you look at the overall goals for your organization so that you can set up the proper entity type at the beginning. The next item, and as a tax advisor, this is one of my favorites, is poor record keeping. As you can imagine, you can have manual documents, you can store things on your computer, or you can even upload documents to the cloud. But having a structure in place and a process that you can keep up with as an entrepreneur and small business owner is essential to your success. I have some clients who I love dearly. They've been with me for many years. And each year, they bring me a nice box of receipts that I have to go through and organize. And as you can imagine, by the time we get to February or March of the current year, January of the previous year is a fog. It's a bare memory. So I am advising all small business owners and entrepreneurs to ensure that they keep proper records, establish processes up front that you can maintain so that you're not having to cull through a bag of receipts, dig through your car, try to find that receipt. Heaven forbid it's lost in, the tens of thousands of Gmail items that you have unopened in your inbox. So regardless of your situation or scenario, please just be sure that you either establish good record keeping at the outset or at least start a process today that you can maintain going forward. Saving for taxes. So I got several calls in 2020 from my clients who wanted the presidential tax plan. And, not making light of the situation, everyone has a different tax profile based on their personal and business makeup. But saving for taxes is an essential part of all of our lives, whether it be as an employee or as a small business owner. Typically, as an employee, we, are on a payroll system, we're going to get a W-2, and our taxes are withheld on our behalf. As a small business owner, we are not exempt from paying those taxes. We do have the leverage of typically paying lower tax rates and also getting additional write-offs that may not be open to traditional W-2 employees. But we still have a tax liability. That is just, a part of the way the world works. And so saving for those taxes at the, on an ongoing basis, or even better yet, paying your taxes quarterly, just makes that process much easier versus getting hit with a huge tax bill at tax time. I have many clients who are on a quarterly tax payment, as well as small businesses who prefer to pay their taxes all at one time. But I can assure you that tax bill all at one time It's painful no matter what, but go ahead and get a process in place where you're putting aside a percentage of your income and prepare yourselves accordingly. Okay. The last thing I'm going to talk about today is investing in your core asset, which is you. As a small business owner, you are the key to your business. And while I want you to ensure that you're investing from the perspective of growing your business, reaching the next plateau, obviously getting the resources around you that you need, whether it be professional help from a business advisor perspective, a tax management perspective, even marketing resources can be helpful for small business owners to get you to the next level. But ultimately, the success of your business is going to revolve around you. So whether that be focusing on self-care, taking some time away for vacations, playing golf, or just spending time with family and friends, um, continuing education, ensuring that you're up to speed in your market and industry, that you have the information that's relevant to your clients. Or retirement planning. Oftentimes as small business owners, we are definitely focused on the day-to-day operations of our business, but not always that long-term view. So it's very important for you to look at all of the different aspects of investing in yourself and your business, so that you can experience longevity and success for years to come. Do I have any questions from the group at this point? I'm going to give folks just a few minutes. Okay. Some of the common questions that I received as it relates to being a small business owner is, how am I sure that I'm doing everything I need to manage my business? And I'll be honest with you, that's not an easy question to answer. As small business owners, unless we are literally duplicating an existing model, we're typically figuring it out through on the job training. So it is important that you look into professionals that have been through the process before. There are many individuals who almost are, professional entrepreneurs. They've launched many businesses, they've been successful, and they have an opportunity to really provide that insight and expertise to entrepreneurs, and you can learn from them. One of the reasons that you're here today is to say, okay, what is it that I may not be aware of that other entrepreneurs have experienced? And so seeking those professional resources can be very helpful. One of the next questions I received: do you have an app or program that you recommend for tracking business expenses? Yes, one of the programs that I recommend, especially for single employee small businesses, is QuickBooks Self-Employed. QuickBooks Self-Employed integrates fully with your bank accounts. So while you are going through the process of just your everyday business transactions, your income deposits, it will recommend categorization for you, but you can go in along the way and clean that up. The other reason I like QuickBooks Self-Employed is it has a mileage tracker. So while during, these COVID times, many of us are not traveling as much as we normally do, we still need to be able to track that mileage, because typically a mileage write-off is going to be more advantageous to you than writing off gas and oil changes, right? So it does have a mileage tracker embedded in, and then it has plenty of reports that are available to you that not only can you use to track your business on an ongoing basis, but you can also provide it to your tax preparer at the end of the year, and it will make tax time much easier. The next question that I received is in my opinion, what is the biggest pitfall? I'm going to go back to this 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 one item I mentioned, which is selecting the wrong entity type. So while I spoke about the individual, who is essentially preparing to continue his wife's business after losing his wife last year, I probably spend 20% of my time just on correcting entity types for organizations. So for example, if you decide, and I just went through this process, that you want to buy a house. So most small businesses and pretty much every American across, the land tries to reduce their tax liability as much as they possibly can. Well, as a small business owner, you have many write-offs you can take, and you can get your income to a manageable level and your tax liability to a manageable level. But if your income is too low, you can't qualify to buy a house, to get a car, to, get a loan for your kids or whatever the case may be. So I've had to do some conversions recently so that my clients can pay themselves a payroll, pay their taxes up front, and then have an opportunity to write off those employer expenses related to their own personal payroll. Another situation I've had as it relates to selecting the wrong entity type is many of you all may be aware, if you decide you want to start a business in the state of Georgia, you can log on to the Georgia Secretary of State and file your business, and boom, you're done, right? You don't need an expert for that, except you may be selecting the wrong entity type. So I've had a client who for a couple of years now has said, I really think I want to be a nonprofit. And I said, okay, great. Let's go establish you a nonprofit. Oh no, I want this company to be a nonprofit. Oh, okay. And it has probably taken about 4 months. Some of that is impacts related to COVID, so processing has been a little bit slow. But establishing a new entity just on its own is not an extensive process. But converting an existing entity to a different entity type, especially from a profit to a nonprofit and LLC to a corporation, can be a very time-consuming process. And ultimately, the entity type not only impacts you as a small business owner today and what you're able to write off, but it'll also impact you from a longevity perspective if you want this entity to exist when you're no longer here. So I would say that is one of the biggest pitfalls that I see, especially at the outset. The next question I received is, why is Form 2553 necessary if you have an LLC? This is another great question, is directly related to what I'm discussing here. So this particular form is to allow you to tax your entity separate than your personal tax return. So for example, if you establish an LLC, and you have a partner who is not your spouse, you're automatically a partnership. So that entity is a standalone entity that files its own tax return. But if you're an LLC by yourself or an LLC with your spouse, that entity doesn't exist as a standalone entity from a tax perspective. But if you file Form 2553, you can tell the government, look, I want this entity to be taxed on its own. Now, you shouldn't necessarily just file Form 2553. You need to make sure that it makes sense for your organization and the overall goals of your business. And then another question related to the software that I use, and once again, I would continue to recommend the QuickBooks Self-Employed. Even if you're converting from manual tracking to an electronic tracking system, it's definitely a winner, and it is a very low cost when you look at your overall options that are in the market. Do we have any other questions today? Okay. Well, I certainly appreciate everyone's time today. I'm going to quickly go through some different options that are available from MBK Financial Services in case there's additional assistance that you all need. Jump through this. So when you look at getting a business advisor, once again, that's that professional that I mentioned that can help you with your business. You have a few different options that are available to you, and each of them will just essentially include additional services that are available to you as a business owner. Now, I'll go ahead and say, in general, hiring a bookkeeper on your staff is probably going to be between $30,000 and $40,000 a year. Hiring an accountant on staff is going to be closer to $75,000 a year. So what we try to do here at MBK is provide those types of services to our clients at a more economical value that gives you an opportunity to stay on top of your financials, on top of your bookkeeping, and really be prepared for tax time when it comes. Because ultimately, you know, like clockwork, my favorite time of the year, tax time is coming each and every spring. So these are the options that are available to you: the peace of mind package, the business clarity package, and the business owner relief package. And if you have any questions about these, I'll be following up with each of you individually, and we can discuss one-on-one. And let's say you joined us here today because you don't have a business yet. You're looking to start a business, and I can assure you there is no time that's too soon to start your business conversations. So some of the business startup options that we have a pro package, a premium package, and a basic package, which includes all of the elements that I discussed with you as far as getting your organization set up at the state level, getting your EIN filed, your articles of incorporation. I do provide a registered agent service. And with each of these options, you are going to have an initial consultation with me to discuss what are the overall goals for your specific business. Some of the things that I've also added in the premium and pro package is guidance on, the best banks to use, getting your website set up, getting your payment set up. And in the pro package, you will have 3 ongoing small business development coaching sessions because, as we all know, there are going to be more things that come up, more questions that are raised. And so I cover those in these packages as well. So I do want to thank you all for your time. I really look forward to working with you. I notice I have some current clients on the call as well as some potential clients. So I'll be reaching out to each of you. And if you have any questions in the interim, my contact information is here. But I appreciate your time today, and I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.